Welcome to Goblin-Inc. This is Sanctum here, what is the strongest PoE 2 build I've ever played. It is not particularly close either. This build has insane speed, insane damage, and it even destroys bosses. I hope you enjoy the Molten Blast mana stacking Ritualist. Roll the clips. You might have seen other Molten Blast builds on YouTube, and they go pretty fast too. So why is this one even better? The answer is simple. Mind over matter mana stacking is OP. It makes you a lot tankier, as you will have over 5k mana instead of 2.5k life. And mana stacking even gives you more damage than the regular build. Crown of Ice, combined with Arcane Intensity, makes her mana scalar damage. And in stacking, which gives us mana, scales our Hoa. But it doesn't end there. Because we use Walker of the Wilds with Mana Leech, and also stack Mana Regen, we have incredible sustain too, more than any life build could ever hope of having. And by being this tanky, we even get to use Trampled Up Boots, which basically provide no defense, making our already amazing clear into the best clear in the game. Literally the best clear in the game. Being able to use Trampled Toes has another hidden advantage. Once we get good enough gear and our damage goes high enough, Bone Shatter, which is usually just a movement ability, actually becomes a damage skill. And whenever you crash into packs, it procs Trample Toes, which is an AoE, which kills mobs, which procs Trample Toes, and that does a bigger AoE, and you essentially chain off screen. So what's the downside? Right, there has to be a downside, it has to be a catch. There's a reason why no one's playing this. And honestly, the answer is none. There's literally no downside. The build is even made cheaper by mana stacking. For the people new to the build, how does the build even work? How am I moving that fast? Well, Molten Blast and Bone Shatter both scale their movement speed with attack speed. So we scale our attack speed with accuracy through the Falcon Dive node. We take Resolute Technique, Nimble Strength, Winter Owl, and Finesse to get a huge amount of accuracy, and basically move at the speed of light. Anyways, onto the gear, when we can actually start playing the build for very cheap because most of the uniques, and we use a lot of them, are not expensive at all. Let's start with the budget version, although it's very similar to the juice one. On our gloves, we use Hoa. Ideally corrupted to have 1 to 12 lightning damage instead of 1 to 10, but an extra socket is also good. A double socket Hoa literally costs 1 chaos. 1 chaos. In the socket, we place accuracy percent talismans. On the helmet, we use Crown of Ice, ideally corrupted with an extra socket. Also, here we place resistance runes, if we need them, or ideally mana percent runes. Our mace can be Obra Vasara if we're very budget, but if we can splurge a little bit, you know, give us a little treat, we get a mace like Fire, with attack speed and onslaught on kill. The ideal rune will be 5% of damage as extra damage of all elements, but you can also place storm runes if you don't have enough currency, you know. Our amulet will always be Astramantis, anointed with pure power. Our belt will be Ingenuity, ideally corrupted with resistance. As they're not too expensive, right? I think a low-ish percent, a mid% Ingenuity with resistance goes for maybe 1 divine, maybe less at this point. I would have to check, but it's not expensive at all. Our boots will be Trample Toes, with an extra socket, and resistance runes. On the offhand, initially we will use the Kosedai to double our accuracy, corrupted with an extra socket and resistance runes to start, because we really won't get enough points to get Resolute Technique. It's a bit too far off the other path, but later on, once we get enough levels, we will transition to Scepter of Flame. For our chest, we will want a Hybrid Evasion Yes chest with 50 plus Spirit, resistances, and ideally Deflect. I mean, you don't need the 50 Spirit, you can go without it, right? I was playing most of the time without it, but it's better if you can get it, and it won't be that expensive, right? Our rings probably will be the hardest item to acquire, as not many people want these type of rings yet. Maybe after this video they will, so start getting them now, you know? But early on, I would use Dream Fragments to become Freeze immune and Chill immune. I actually still keep that ring in my inventory now to become Chill immune on chilled ground maps. And their other 2 rings are, will both be similar. We basically want mana percent, mana regen, and mana leech on just one of the rings. Not 2, just one of the rings. And the rest of the affixes we basically fill by need. I recommend you eventually, I mean it's a bit harder to start, but eventually try to get 100% rarity after accounting for charms. But you have to make sure you rest cap first. Once you rest cap, you can get rarity, all you want, you know? And other than that, we just want added damage. That's it. The last item we need is Last Lament for our weapon swap, as that will take care of any boss, as you can see in this clip. you simply press Compose Requiem and attack with your crossbow, and that's it. The runes used will be the same ones as we use in our mace. Anyways, for the skills, we use Molten Blast, our main damage skill with no projectiles, to do 5 projectiles instead of 1 in AoE, rapid attacks, heightened accuracy, so all to attack faster and move faster, Innervate to buff the damage of our Herald Thunder 2, and eventually our Bone Shatter, and Concentrated Area. Then, Bone Shatter, which will be our main mobility skill. Basically, what I do is I Bone Shatter until I get to a pack of mobs, and then I Molten Blast. We will use Reckless Ferocity on our weapon set 1, make sure it's on the weapon set 1 for more attack speed, Rapid Attacks 3, Rage 3, Heightened Accuracy, and if you're rich enough, Dialyze Desart. If you're not, just don't use this, it's fine. You don't really need it, but it's more movement speed, especially because the quality on it makes Bone Shatter move faster. As you can see, additional effects from quality, more attack speed, which is very good. But if you don't have the currency, just don't use it. Then we use Herald of Thunder with Overreach, Elemental Armament 2, Elemental Focus, Lightning Mastery, and Longshot. And then we use Wind Dancer with Precision 1, Mana Leech, Magnified Area, Elemental Armament 2, and Close Combat. And if we have a chest with Spirit already, we can swap in Elemental Armament 2 and Precision 1 for Precision 2 and Clarity 2, or 1, depending on the amount of Spirit you have. Lastly, on Requiem, which is the skill that is given to us by Last Lament, we use Stoicism 2, Concentrated Area, Elemental Armament 2, and Rekieta's Flow. Now, again, if you don't have currency for Rekieta's Flow, what you do is you add Enlightening Penetration. And also, if you do not have Rekieta's Flow, we then want to add Elemental Weakness with Curse Ground, Ritualistic Curse, Heightened Curse, Magnified Area 2, and Fire Mastery. If you have Rekieta's Flow, do not use this, you're just nerfing your damage on bosses, but if you don't have it, then do use this. For the Process tree, it's quite simple. You want Might Over Matter, Eldritch Battery, Arcane Intensity, CI, Finesse, Walker of the Wilds, Winter Owl, Falcon Dive, then Jack of all Trades, and Polymathy. And this is like the baseline. This is the baseline what you need, right? And later on, you get Cunning Fox, you get this, but this is the baseline, right? You can check out the the tree in the guide, in the written guide, but this is the baseline you need to play the build, right? And what about the jewels? So the most important jewel is the From Nothing jewel with a Bulwark allocated, because like I said, at first you can't really path all the way to Resolute Technique, you don't have enough points. So you really want it From Nothing to be able to allocate Unwavering Stance, right? Because Bulwark lets you allocate Unwavering Stance, right? I don't know why it's not letting me click it, but trust me, you can allocate it, right? With the From Nothing with Bulwark. And you want Unwavering Stance. You need it to not get stunned, right? Because we don't really have a lot of life, our stun threshold is low, we need this, okay? And then the other big jewel you get would be Heart of the Well. And you want, basically you want mana on kill, attack speed damage. I would say actually, eventually, the most important stat becomes recover 10%, well not 10%, but at least 8% of maximum mana when a charm is used. And this is so important because it basically enables you to use Mind Phylacteries later. And I guess I might as well talk about the ascendancies before I go to the rest of the jewels. The most important part, by far, is getting Unfurled Finger for the +1 ring, and then Mystic Attunement for your rings and amulets to get more stats, right? This is the most important. This path is really not that good, right? Oh, and make sure you get the Reduced Spirit. Do not get Reduced Mana. Do not get Reduced LE Res, go Reduced Spirit. And then the second path will be the extra charm slot. Doesn't really matter. I mean, if your build's not that good, I guess it helps, but... And then Mind Phylacteries. Mind Phylacteries will not feel useful at the start, but eventually, and especially once you get the Heart of the Well with the mana on charm usage, you'll be able to use this really well, right? For rarity, for freeze, immunity. But at the start, it doesn't really matter much. In fact, at the start, I was playing like this. I would get a +1 charm slot, I would get increased charms, and then I would get physical damage because really everything else sucks. But eventually, you'll do play this. And then for the rest of the jewels, basically you want the same jewel in every single slot. You want increased intelligence, attack speed, and then you want either accuracy, a mix between accuracy, magnitude of shock, magnitude of elements, elemental damage, lightning damage, what else? Projectile damage, attack damage. Yeah, that's basically it. You want a mix of those. That's the ideal jewel you want. That was all for the budget version of the build, so what about the insane version I'm playing? Well, the first swap we make is swapping in Sacred Flame instead of Lycosidai, as we will be high enough level to grab Resolute Technique naturally through the passive tree. That also lets us drop the From Nothing Bulwark to grab just grabbing the Unwavering Stance naturally, because we path that way, right? Anyways, you can find the tree in the written guide, but this will enable us a couple things. First of all, we'll get to use Trinity with Fire Mastery, Clarity 1, and Huntress Agri. The Huntress Agri will let us get 7% more elemental damage to 30 resonance. If you don't have it, you have the currency, then you'll get 6%, which is still good. This basically amounts to around 40% plus more damage, as we will basically always have 2 elements fully resonanced up, you know? And then once you do this, what you do is you gotta make sure Wind Dancer only activates in weapon set 1, and Herald Thunder only activates on weapon set 1, and Trinity activates on both. That way, when you're on your AoE setup, right, on your clearing setup, you have all 3 up. And when you're on your bossing setup, the crossbow, you still have Trinity up for the damage. And anyways, I was talking about Charge Regulation, right? And on Charge Regulation, we have Precision 2 and Orchard's Omen. Orchard's Omen makes it so you go from 15% more skill speed to 16%, which it's nice, you know, more DPS, more movement speed, always great. And to finish out the build, I guess I'll talk about the charms and the flasks. Look, I'm gonna be honest, I don't use Blood of the Warrior much, because my damage is good enough, but essentially, in theory, what you can do is, on bosses, you can use Bone Shatter to max out your rage, and then when you press this, Blood of the Warrior, you maintain that rage, you don't lose it. And then you can, you know, do your usual bossing setup. I'm too lazy, I do enough damage, I don't need this, but you can always do this, right? And then I've been testing Melting Maelstrom. It doesn't feel useful, honestly. I feel like I don't need the damage. So I'm probably going to replace it with a Mana Flask with 30% instant recovery for basically tricky situations. And then what I'm using in the end is a Thawing Charm, because I replaced my Dream Fragments with another ring. So I'm using a Thawing Charm with Recover Mana, which also pairs well with the Heart of the Well, and to essentially negate Mind Phylacteries, right, which is always good. And then the Rite of Passage, which I just talked about, and just a Golden Charm. And that's it for the guide. I hope you guys give this a try. It has honestly been not only the strongest build I've played, but also the most fun build I've ever played in this game. Look, it's a bit tough on the FPS. Your computer's not great sometimes because Molten Blast somehow fire skills kill the GPU more than others. It doesn't matter. Look, we have fun even in the lag. And don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff, you know, if you want to see more of our videos. And I'm also streaming at Sanctum_TTV on Twitch. If you want to see me, you know, make some builds, be free to comment and chat with me or ask any questions. I usually answer every single question. Have fun, guys.